Okay. Hi everyone, and how are all of you? Oh, all of you are mute. Okay, you see, this is the problem. I've always done interactive face-to-face, and now suddenly virtual. I still use my old habits. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Thank you for coming for this session. And I assure you, at the end of this session, all of you will have some ideas in relation to how to bring more happiness into your life. Now, would you agree happiness is something very, very important in our lives? And yet, sadly, we all want happiness. We want to try to attain more happiness, and yet sometimes it's very difficult to achieve. Sometimes we look for happiness in the wrong places. Sometimes we do the wrong things in terms of trying to get happiness. So rest assured, at the end of this session, I assure you, all of you will definitely have ideas, and if you take some proactive action, I assure you, you will be a more happy person. So with that as a basis, let's start. A little short introduction. My name is Hira. I run my own training and management consultancy. I have a master's in human resource management and training from Leicester University, and another master's in management and organizational learning from Lancaster University, both done in the UK. I was also privileged to have served a tenure of service in the United Nations, and my boss at that time was the late Mr. Kofi Annan himself. It was certainly a privilege to have served under him in the Department of Peacekeeping Operations in the UN. And I learned a lot about leadership and management just by interacting and working with him. I also write a lot in the mainstream Malaysian media, lots and lots of all these articles, very, very Malaysianized, because culture affects management to a great extent. And many of the books that we read on management leadership are from the West. Brilliant books, but the only problem is that it's tainted with Western culture. And therefore, sometimes when we borrow certain concepts from these books and we practice it here, it does not work because the concept conflicts with our own Malaysian culture. These are the books that I have written. And this one here is the human resource documentation. I'm very proud because it's about 600 over pages. And this is the Bahasa version, also about 650 pages. I believe every HR department should have this because it will assist greatly in terms of documentation issues as far as HR is concerned. So with that as a basis, I would like to start with an activity. Now, people like Azura and so on, dalam kereta, I apologize, you will not be able to take part in this activity. Those who are at home or in the office can take part. And it's a very simple activity. And there's a prize for it in the sense that dua buku yang sebelah kanan here will be the prize. Now, very simple. I'm going to put 4 things up on this slide here. All I want all of you is to go and get those things, turn on your video, and show it to me. The first person obviously gets these 2 books, and the second person will get one of these books. Itu saja. So are you all ready? If you all are ready, I'm going to put the 4 items that you have to collect and show me now. Okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, if the first person who can show me dapat. No, 1 je tak boleh, 4. You have to show me all 4. Now, anybody who gets it, just turn on your video and show it to me. These are simple things that you have in your office or your home and so on.
Dia dulu kerja dengan Kopi Hanan. But now,
okay, buku 1. No, lain. Pensel mana? Oh, pensel ada. Toothbrush. Okay, well done. Norazila, you are the winner. Well done. Okay, I tulis you punya nama. At the end of the show, jangan pergi mana-mana. Tolong bagi tahu you punya address so that I can courier it to you.
Si Syahira tak ada macam
ada apa cuma dengar aja.
Apa dia?
Ada apa cuma tu. Tunjuk kalau nak on.
Okay. Faizal. Okay, very good Faizal. You are number 2. Okay Faizal, you dapat 1 buku je. After this please don't go away, give me your address so that I can send it to you. Okay, basically, ladies and gentlemen, the aim was just to create some form of activity, and that was the activity. We call it a scavenger hunt. So let's go down to some serious things. And the first thing is this thing called, what is it that everyone wants? Few people find and few will still know where to look. Now, obviously, based on the title of my topic, it's happiness. So my question to all of you, and I would like to ask all of you, and if you can put it on the chat, and that is, let's prioritize happiness in your life. 1, that means it's priority 1 in your life. 10, that means it's least priority as far as your life is concerned. Could you all go to the chat and just put a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, or whatever? I say again, 1 is highest priority, 10 is the lowest priority. Could you all put that in the chat, please? Ada orang masuk dalam chat so?
Ada orang jawab.
Ada. I tak ada keluar. Okay, good. Okay, 1, 2, 3, okay. Good, now I see it. Okay, brilliant. I stop here. It doesn't matter what you put, but let me assure you, when I look through, all of you have put it 1, 2, or 3, which means happiness is something it's something very, very important to all of you, and it's on high priority. Now, if it's on high priority, it's the most important thing, for example, in your life, shouldn't we all do something so that we can get more happiness? And yet, sadly, many of us, and I include myself, we walk through life hoping happiness will just come to us. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to work hard to achieve happiness. So let me ask all of you, what do you think is happiness? If I may ask all of you, what is happiness? Now, you don't have to answer. I have an answer here. Think about it, what is happiness? But I assure you, many of you will think differently about what is happiness to you. Doesn't matter, because if we define happiness and we know what is happiness, then it's easier for us to achieve what we term as our own happiness, because our perception is very clear. Now, this is what I have as far as happiness is concerned. I base most of my research on the content of this session, on this book, Myths of Happiness. It says the experience of joy or positive well-being with the sense that one's life is meaningful. Now, if I may use my own terms, basically what I want to say is that you're at peace with yourself. You're at peace at where your life is. You know you're on the right path in terms of life. Now, will there be some bad moments, negative moments, miserable moments in your life? Yes, but in an overall context, you are happy because you're at peace and there's serenity in your life. That's what I mean by happiness. Now, this is the Cantrell ladder of happiness, and basically, there is a group of people who have gone around the world to survey the people in every country to find out their level of happiness. And they call it the Cantrell ladder of happiness. Now, basically, it means if you're 10, that means you have reached the highest level of happiness. And if you're 1, that means you are in a miserable state. Now, after they have surveyed and so on, let me give you just 2 findings. Number 1, what was the country that was the most happy, or happiness was at a very high level? It was Finland, and the score was 7.86. Now, firstly, I want to say, even Finland, which is happy, did not achieve 10, 7.86, which means they themselves can improve in terms of attaining more happiness. Now, where does Malaysia stand? Malaysia is 5.34. Which means we are basically about 2.5 behind Finland. And Malaysia's score is not bad, it's okay, because there are other countries which are basically 1, 2, and 3, and so on. But basically what I'm using this for is to tell you that, let's assume, and I assume that most of us here are Malaysians, and even the foreigners who are watching this session, let's assume that we are all 5.34. That's the benchmark for happiness. Now, would you agree, if we take some proactive actions, we may bring that score up to 6. And isn't that important? Because we all want to be happy. And if we don't take any action, then the situation will still remain the same. We have to take some action. And that's what we are going to go to later. So this Cantrell ladder of happiness is done, I believe, every 3 years. and they publish their scores. You can get it from the internet and so on. Just for information, Bhutan, I visited Bhutan, did some training there, and they are the only country which actually measures happiness in their own country, because when I spoke to some of them, they said, GDP and everything else is important, but we feel the happiness of the people is also a very important factor. And I thought, I cannot argue with that kind of philosophy. So let's go on to 2 important principles of happiness. And let's start with the first one. And I think this is very important. You are responsible for your own happiness. And if you expect others to make you happy, you will always be disappointed. Now, some people will always say, my children are not making me happy. My neighbors are bad, and that's why I'm sad and so on. So you are allowing external factors to actually affect you internally. My point is, you have to take concerted action on your own part to bring happiness to your own life. If you rely on other people, then you will not be happy. And for me, happiness is too important a factor to put it in other people's hands. You have to take responsibility. You have to hold it. So do things that you are happy with, which we will talk about later. And the second principle is, don't expect happiness to come to you automatically. You have to work to achieve it. And I think this is very important. A lot of people, as I say, walk through life and expect happiness to just come. And when they don't get happiness, they complain. That will not achieve happiness. That will not achieve the outcome that they want. They will have to work to achieve it. Now, let's just take an example to show you what I mean. Now, let's assume somebody is 5 kgs overweight, and he wants to he wants to reduce it by 5 kgs. Now, what does he have to do? He'll have to exercise, obviously watch his diet and so on. My point is, he will have to work hard to achieve that loss of 5 kgs. If he remains the same, he doesn't take any action, he will not lose that 5 kgs. And so it is like happiness. You cannot expect happiness to come to you. You have to do things to make you happy. For example, those who have children, who have families and so on, would you agree, just going on a short holiday anywhere will make you happy? Now, shouldn't we go for more holidays? But don't worry, I will show you later. We all, and I include myself, we like to postpone happiness. We say, no, I will only be happy when my children have grown up. Oh, I'll only be happy once they've graduated. So we postpone happiness. And on our last day in this world, we're still expecting happiness to come to us. It doesn't work that way at all. So let's talk about 3 mental barriers to happiness. 1, the inability to accept reality. I think this is very, very important. Recently, after the COVID-19 crisis, I met a friend who lost his job because he was retrenched. Now, when I was talking to him for about 45 minutes, all he was doing was he was complaining about his manager, his company, how bad they were, a lot of negative things. And I was thinking to myself, shouldn't he accept the reality that he has been retrenched and now look forward? He cannot change what is in the past. He cannot change the fact that he has been retrenched, but he can definitely influence the future. But the fact is, he still did not want to accept reality. He wanted to live in his own world, his old world again. It doesn't work that way at all. And this is the problem. Some people are born poor, some people are born disabled and so on. That's the reality. We just have to accept that reality and move forward. And if you remember the other day, Nazrin showed us a video about this person, motivator, who's disabled. But did he take his disability as something that will hold him back? No, he used it actually, and he has become world famous, and he's a very successful man today. So my point is, accept the reality, whatever it is that you are in, and then work forwards. Don't look back. There's nothing you can change that has happened in the past. The next thing is the trap of things. A lot of us think we can buy happiness. If you buy the iPhone Pro, 11 Pro today, will it make you happy? Certainly it will. But my question is, for how long? Perhaps 2 weeks, perhaps 2 months, perhaps 1 month. It depends on you. So it makes you happy, but it's what we call short-term happiness. After some time, the iPhone 11 Pro becomes something what I would say normal in your life. Now, this also affects people who take drugs and alcoholics and so on. Why do some people take drugs? Why does somebody take drugs, for example? Why? Because for 2 hours, He wants to live in an imaginary world. He wants to run away from reality. And for 2 hours, yes, as we say in Malay, hayal, and he's there. But after 2 hours, like it or not, he has to come back to reality. And when he comes back to reality, he becomes even more miserable because reality is not what he was experiencing in the last 2 hours. Alcoholics are like that also. They want to forget about their problems. They had a big fight with their wife and they want to forget about their what happened. They go and have a drink or too much to drink. And yes, they do forget about the problems for a short term. But after that, let me assure you, it comes back to haunt them. And when we talk about the trap of things, please understand, if you have the money to buy things to make you happy short term, fine, do so. There are many people who do not have the money but still want to buy things to make themselves happy, and then they get into debt, and then the problems will start to come about. And the final one is this relentless pursuit of success. There are many people who want to be successful. They do everything they can to make themselves successful, but at the end of the day, they do not achieve happiness in their lives. I know a friend who's a multi-millionaire. He travels a lot in his business and so on. His way of making his children happy and so on is to buy them expensive things. And I will tell you, if I had to give him some advice, I would say, spend more time with your children. They will value that time you spend with them more than the things that you give them. That is happiness. The things give them happiness, but only short term. They want a quality family life. They want your time. And this is the problem. A lot of people achieve success. And after they have achieved success, they look back and they say, yes, I achieved success, but I was never a happy person. And that's a very sad thing to say. Let's go on to this and the important one, which is how to be more happy. If I can just ask all of you to just put on your chat, what are some things you think you can do to be more happy? Just one. Okay, Fina says feeling of joy. Marianne says, hi Hira, even though Finland tops global ranking as happy, their suicide rates are well above the European standards. Okay, my comment is, this is, it's ironical, isn't it? Happy, but at the same time, suicide rates are well above the European standards. I really cannot make any comment, I said now, Marianne, but it's a very interesting thing that you have brought about. Brenda says, being at peace. Yes, I agree. Have great friends. I like that, Jeremy. Yes, that's certainly something very important. Have great friends. Just enjoying life one day at a time. Yes. Okay, we'll stop there and let's carry on. Not having to work, Azura. Okay, good. I will tell you this, yeah. You stay in your house and not work for the next 3 months, just like that. You'll be bored. I'm most certain that will happen to you. Okay, Karen says, finding your purpose in life, how meaningful it is. Yes, and I think that's very important. It's very, what you call this, macro, and it's very philosophical. But yes, if you're very clear about what you want to do in life, then I think you can be a very happy person. Be grateful, Victor. I agree with you also. Very, very important. Many times we are not grateful for the life we have. We think we are unhappy until we really see unhappy people and so on. So let's go on. Strive to have a better attitude. Now, I just want to start this with a little exercise. I want all of you to tell me what are the characteristics of a bad employee. Just write down one thing, like lazy, procrastinator, what. Could you write down on the chat, please? Could you write on the chat? That is, what are the characteristics of a bad employee? Bad temper, okay, good. Not completing his work, yes. Skeptical, okay. Complaining all the time, I agree with that. Poor attitude, yes, Karen. Bad attitude, okay, good. Irresponsible, good. Exactly what I have written, actually. Okay, I tell you what, incompetent. Okay, we stop here because I have it here. Let's see what I have. Now, irresponsible. And I think all of you will agree with me. There are many bad employees who are irresponsible. They don't do their job well and so on. Number 2, lazy. Yes. Does not follow instructions. Stubborn. Procrastinates. Does not cooperate. I think basically what you all said is about what I have here. Now, why did I ask you? Very important. I want to show you how attitude plays a role in the characteristics of a bad employee. So let's see. To do your job well, as far as I'm concerned, number 1, you need skills. Car mechanic needs the skills to know how to take out a spark plug, put back the spark plug, change the engine oil, and so on. Number 2, he must have knowledge about the workings of an internal combustion engine, and so on. And skills and knowledge combined together becomes competency. And finally, for me, as far as I'm concerned, you must have a positive attitude if you want to be a good worker. So let's go back to the chart that I had previously. That is one by one here. Let's see. And it says here, irresponsible. Now, let me ask all of you, being irresponsible, is it a skill problem? Is it a knowledge problem? Or is it an attitude problem? I can hear, although all of you are mute, it's attitude problem. Lazy, is it a skill problem, knowledge problem, or attitude problem? Attitude problem. Does not follow instructions, attitude problem. Stubborn, attitude problem. Procrastinates, attitude problem. Does not cooperate, attitude problem. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've just proven to you, because you gave me the characteristics of a bad employee. Skill and knowledge is never ever the problem. It is always attitude which is the problem of bad employees. And I took this case of a bad employee because I wanted to indicate to you. You tell me, if somebody who displays all these characteristics, is he a happy worker? Is he a happy person? No, I assure you, he is not. And sometimes he displays all these characteristics because of certain other things that are happening in his life, over which he has some control, or sometimes he may not even have control. So my point is, if you're able to improve your attitude, let me show you, you will improve as a person, your work, as a neighbor, and so on. I would like now, Susan, are you still there, Susan? Oh, Fina, I tell you what, Fina. Fina, can you hear me, Fina? Hi, Fina.
Yes, Hira.
Okay, could you turn on your audio, please?
Yes, I'm turning on my audio.
Okay, let's do a little role play, yeah? You and me are office mates. It's lunchtime, and you are inviting me to go out for lunch. And then we'll do a role play. Is that okay?
Sure, no problem.
Okay, now, just for information for everybody, I have a very, very bad attitude. Negative attitude. Okay, so start, Fina. Just invite me out for lunch.
Hira, let's go for lunch today. We have not eat lunch together for a while.
Where?
Come on lah, Hira. Somewhere here also can.
Every time we eat here only, somewhere else lah.
Yeah. Where you want to go lah, Hira? Somewhere here is okay, fine. Well, good food here. There's a lot of choices.
You invite me, you tell me lah. I don't want to go here, go somewhere else lah.
Yo, we're going to be too late because we need to drive and whatnot. So why not here? What's the issue? Come on lah, Hira.
Hina, you invite me, macam tak ikhlas saja tau.
Yo, Hira. Don't want to come, never mind lah.
Okay, I stopped here. Because the aim of that role play was just to indicate, you see, I have a negative attitude. And I pass my negativity on to other people. It's a simple somebody inviting me out for lunch, and it becomes a negative situation. And in fact, at the end, we argue and perhaps get into a conflict situation. But I'm sure this has happened to all of you. So my question is, why do some people behave this way? It's because they have a negative attitude. They perceive everything from a negative perspective. Fina, let's do one more time role play, but this time I'm a very positive person. Could you still do that? Just ask me out for lunch.
Sure, no problem.
Okay, just ask me, say hi, Hira.
Hi, Hira. Let's go for lunch today.
Okay, mana?
You nak pergi mana? Kita pergi dekat sama-sama here boleh? I saw this new good place we have not tried for quite a while already.
No. I tell you what, Azura hari tu dia bawa saya ke one small kedai, gerai je. The nasi goreng kampung is the best in the world. You datang, I belanja you.
Okay. Let's go.
Okay. So I stop again here. Because I'm a positive person, we solve that issue within 1 minute. That's it. So all I want to say is, look at yourself, evaluate your own attitude, and let me assure you, if you can improve your attitude by just 5%, you are going to bring a lot more happiness into your life. That's for sure. And I want to use this story again to indicate something that's very, very important. I'm sure most of you have seen or read this story before, but I want to show it one more time because I think this story should be your own philosophy in life. So I will read, you read it for yourself. And I think the grandson asked a very, very pertinent and good question. Which wolf wins? And the answer was the one you feed. It's a very, very simple, story, but let me assure you, the philosophical side of it is really, really awesome. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say all of you are in Jalan Tunku Abdurrahman in the center of KL, and as you know, it's a very busy road. And as you're trying to cross the road, you see an old lady there who's also trying to cross the road, but because of her physical condition, she's having some problems. So what you do, you say, okay, I'll go help her. So you go there and say, madam, let me help you. You hold her hands, and then you put out your other hand and you try to stop or at least slow down the other cars, and you bring her across the road. And after she crosses the road, she says, thank you so much. I really appreciate what you have done for me. Now, let me assure you, all of you who have done that or did that, would you agree? You'll be very, very happy. And you know why you're happy? Because you just fed your good wolf. By doing that noble and good act of bringing that old lady across the road, you fed your good wolf, which means in a metaphorical perspective, you have made your good wolf bigger, and it is now in control of your mind and in control of your bad wolf. So a good principle in life is to be happy, make other people happy. I think this is a good philosophy for all of us to have in life. And feeding a good wolf, can be in many, many forms. For example, if you go to YouTube and listen to a motivational talk for 5 minutes, let me assure you, after that, at least for short term, your good wolf will be a little bit bigger. If you go and say your prayers, after prayer, would you agree you feel at peace with yourself? You have just fed your good wolf. So my point to all of you is, every day from today onwards, find ways to feed your good wolf. Help somebody. Say good things to people. Be positive about life. And when you do these things, let me assure you, your good wolf will always dominate your bad wolf, and your good wolf will dominate your mind. And when your good wolf dominates your mind, let me assure you, you will definitely be a happier person. Next, strive to have better relationships with family members, especially spouse. This is a 75-year study on happiness. The clearest message that we get from the study is that good relationships keeps us happier and healthier. And I cannot agree more with you. And let me give you an example. I was privileged to have attended a course by Dr. John Gray. He wrote the book Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus. Now, I didn't think too much of the book until I attended his course. And among many things he said, which opened up a lot of parts of my mind, which I was not aware of. One of the things he said was that, before I say that, I want to say this here. We always think men and women are different physically only. Actually, we are very different psychologically, emotionally, and so on. So Dr. John Gray said, one of the things he said during the course was the fact that women, irrespective of how long they've been married, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, they like or they love to have romance and love demonstrated in their lives. Now, when I heard that, I was like, okay. Because as far as men are concerned, we are different. As far as we are concerned, romance is for the first 3 years of our married life. After that, somehow or other, we forget about romance. Now, Dr. John Gray says romance means buying flowers for your wife, hugging your wife, telling your wife how nice her dress is, and so on. And he says, and I want to say to all of you this also, he said, isn't your wife or your husband the most important person in your life? And shouldn't you do things that makes that person happier? And that hit me, because when he said that, I said, yeah, if there's a way, there are things that I can do to make my wife happier. Shouldn't I do that? And after that, I must say, after the course, I now try to make it a practice, but not all the time, but most of the times I do. When I come back from work, for example, I'll go to her and I give her a hug and say, hi, sweetheart, how was your day? And I'll do things like, sweetheart, I'm making a cup of coffee for myself. Would you like one? And she loves it. Now, my point is, by doing these little things, I am making her happier. And when I make her happier, she will also in turn reciprocate and respond and make me happier. Now, isn't that all about relationships? Isn't that important? The trouble is many of us, like say men, for example, we say, what's there to demonstrate romance and so on? If I come home, I give you money, I help you take care of the kids, that is love. That means I'm in love with you. I don't have to do anything else, which is not quite right, because women look at it differently. And all the women in this who are listening, let me tell you also this. When your husband doesn't tell you that he loves you and so on, it doesn't mean he doesn't love you. It's just that's the man's way of doing things. But my point is, if men and women can try to close the gap, wouldn't you agree we will have better relationships and we will be happier? Most certainly. Engage in more spiritual and social activities. I cannot agree more with this. Let me ask all of you, if you come up from a church, a mosque, a temple, or a gurdwara and so on after prayer, would you agree you feel at peace with yourself? You never come out of a temple after prayer and say, I'm going to kill somebody. You never do that, because prayer brings peace into your life. And I will tell you this, and I want you all to listen to me carefully. The prayer said in hospitals is more, the prayer said in hospitals is more sincere than that said in the appropriate houses of worship. I say again, the prayer said in hospitals is more sincere than the prayer said at the appropriate houses of worship. Now, some of you may disagree with me, but let me explain what I mean. When you are in hospital and you have serious health problems, would you agree? We always want to then become more spiritual and ask the Almighty for assistance and so on. My point is, why must we wait when we have problems? Only then we want to speak to the Almighty and engage in spiritual activities. Why can't we do it when we are healthy? But that's the irony of mankind. We only look for the Almighty when we are in deep trouble. And forgive. And I think this is something that's very, very difficult to do. But let me assure you, if you can forgive your enemies, you are definitely going to be a happier person. I know of a lady, she did not get a promotion about 7 years ago, and it was a good promotion, but she didn't get it. And then she left the company because she didn't get it. And up to today, when I meet her, she always complains about her boss. Useless boss, the boss was biased, the boss had his own favorite candidate, and so on. And I didn't tell her, but inside me, I was telling myself, time has changed. 7 years have passed, but you're still carrying the burden of that particular situation. Only you will be unhappy. That manager doesn't even remember that event. Now, can you imagine if she says, I forgive the manager, what he has done is up to him, but I forgive him. Would you agree? The whole burden falls off her shoulders and she can get on with her life and be more happy. And I want to give you this quote by Buddha. And I think this is a really, really awesome quote. Holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And I cannot agree more with this. And when you hold on to anger, let me assure you, you're feeding your bad wolf. And when your bad wolf dominates your mind, you're not going to be a very happy person, that's for sure. Now, I want to show you a little short movie clip. Now, just for information, this movie clip, video clip, sorry, is in Hindi, but doesn't matter. There are subtitles down and you will understand. But just to give you a sort of introduction to this video, actually it's a staged video. This guy goes around India, he does this, he helps people who are in difficult situations and so on, whatever. He tells this rickshaw puller, I want to go from point A to point B, and let's assume it's about 500 meters away. But after about 100 meters, he stops and he tells the rickshaw puller, okay, stop here. I don't want to go to that point, I want to stop here. And they agreed on a price of 30 rupees. And when he stopped after 100 meters, he asked the rickshaw puller, how much do I owe you? And the rickshaw puller, instead of saying 30 rupees, because that's the agreement, he says, no, you just give me 100 rupees because you just went a short distance. And after that, you will see some really nice things happen. I don't want to preempt it. I just want you to watch this movie. Yeah.
अरे वाह, इतनी गर्मी में चला रहे हो आप, फिर भी कम कर रहे हो। इतनी गर्मी, क्या हंसी आ रही है ऊपर को? अच्छा ये बताओ तो इतनी गर्मी में कैसे कीप लेते हो आप? दूसरा भूल गया आपसे। कितना दिन का कितना बन जाता है? कितना बन जाता है दिन का? दिन का तो कोई पता नहीं, जब फोटो बन गया कैसा बन गया चला रहेगा भी तो बिल्कुल भी तो ये 3000 रुपए है। ना अरे लीजिए, आपकी हिम्मत देख के इस उम्र में जब कर रहे हैं ना, पकड़िए इसको, पकड़िए, अरे पकड़िए बाबू जी, पकड़िए बच्चों की तरफ से, बच्चों की तरफ से, ठीक है बाबू जी। और ज्यादा गर्मी हो तो छुट्टी लेके घर पे, तबियत खराब नहीं करनी है। बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे मिलके, बहुत खुशी है आप, अपना आशीर्वाद देना बच्चे को, ठीक है, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। तो इसका क्या करोगे बाबू जी आप? पढ़ाई लिखाई कराओ, किताबें ले लो, ठीक है बाबू जी। बहुत खुशी आपसे मिलके, धन्यवाद, ख्याल रखिएगा।
Now, a simple rickshaw puller, but I think we can learn, we can learn a lot of things from that particular video. Now, just to make it interactive, could anybody, can you all just type out in the chat some things that you can learn from this little video, please? I see Jeremy Abraham said, Hira, you're going to get us into trouble. No, Jeremy, what I said is if you do it to your wife and so on, she will make you a lot more happier and you will make her a lot happier, that's for sure. So can we get some? Okay, Nazarene says, what is easy for you might not be easy for others. And I totally agree. We all have different perspectives in life and so on. He seems to be happy with his lot. And I agree with you, Jayasri. He may be a simple rickshaw puller, but look at his face. It's gleaming. He's a happy man. A little goes a long way. And I totally 100% agree, which I will touch on later on. Make the best of what you have and be great, happy and grateful. Yes, we're all different. I may not be a multimillionaire, but I'm happy with what I have and so on. And if you have that philosophy, you will be a happier person. He's full of gratitude, Karen. Very, very true. And I like that very much. He could have just taken the 3,000 rupees and put it in his pocket at the initial moment, but he didn't because he said, I do not deserve this money. That's a sign of a person who has a lot of gratitude and dignity in his life. So let's see what I have. Happiness is not the privilege of the well-to-do, and I think this is something important. Anybody can be happy. And let me assure you, the best people to learn about happiness is your own children or children in general. Do you agree children are just happy all the time? Yes, they don't have a care in the world and so on. You may scold them today now, they cry in front of you, but 5 minutes later, they're jumping up and down and they're happy. I think we can learn a little bit from these children, because the trouble with us adults, we allow a lot of emotions to come into play and so on inside us, which may not necessarily be the best thing for us. Would you agree? Happiness, there are multimillionaires out there who are not happy. And I use that only as one benchmark of success. They're not happy? Yes, and there are very many people who live in small quarters and so on, who have 3 children, 1 motorbike, but they're very happy people. He took pride in his work and he has a high level of dignity. Yes, he could have just taken the 3,000 rupees. He didn't. He could have asked him for 30 rupees because that was the initial agreement, but he says 10 because I only drove you, took you for a short distance. Now, this man obviously is a very honest man, earning an honest living, who is happy in his own way. So let's not judge people and look at a rickshaw puller and say he must be a very unhappy person. He may not have money, but I assure you, he has more happiness in him than many other people who have millions in the bank. Nazrin says, I have 5 kids and I'm very happy. Brilliant, Nazrin. That's the way to go. And finally, don't bargain with people like him. And I think this is something very, very important. And I myself am guilty of this. Let me assure you, I'm guilty of this. But I try to practice it and I want all of you to practice. Next time when you go to the Pasar Malam and there's this lady selling you, say, vegetables, 2 ringgit a bunch, for example. Don't bargain it to be 180 and so on. 20 cents is nothing to you, but 20 cents means a lot to that person. Give her that money. And yet, ironically, when we go to a big restaurant, we feel that it is part of that status thing that we should leave a big tip like 10 ringgit on the table. Let me assure you that that restaurant doesn't need it. They've got enough money. We give that 10 ringgit here, and yet for 20 cents for that particular lady selling vegetables, we want to bargain. So I think we've got to change our whole perspective, our mindset. People like this, just give them money. 1, 2, 3 ringgit means a lot to them, but it's nothing to you. So give them, and you know what? You're also feeling your good move at the same time. And finally, interact with people who make your life better, like I think Karen said just now, and I cannot agree more with you. Interact with positive people. So for example, if you interact with happy people, would you agree you will be a happy person? I mean, it's a simple thing. If you mix with happy people, you'll be happy, that's all. If you mix with sad people, you'll be sad, that's all. It's a simple analogy, but it is definitely true. All I want to say is, and Jim Rohn says, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Yes, let's say you have 5 people who are very happy people and you interact with them every day. Let me assure you, you'll be a happy person immediately. You mix with 5 millionaires every day. I'm not saying you'll be rich immediately, but let me assure you, when you engage in conversations with them, they will give you ideas about how to make money. And if you take action on their ideas, you may be rich. But if you mix with people who are not millionaires, then you will not get ideas like that. Never, ever postpone happiness. And I think this is something that all of us do, and I include myself. We always say, oh, it's not that I'm not happy, but you know, the children are all in school. I have to drive them to school and so on. I tell you what, when they leave school, I'll be a very happy person. And once they leave school, they're in university, you worry. How are they? They're on their own now. Will they be happy? Are they having good meals? And then you say, well, once they finish their university, they start working, I'll be happy. And then when they start working, you say, oh, they don't have a house. She's commuting, you know, from Cheras to Damansara every day. I hope she doesn't get into an accident. I'll be happy when she gets married. And it goes on and on and on. So my point here is never ever postpone happiness, and I want to do this final exercise with all of you. Let's say, and it's a very emotional exercise, but it's a very, very good exercise, and we can learn a lot of things from this exercise. Let's assume that all of us have gone to the hospital, we have seen the specialist, and the specialist tells us straight in the face, you've only got 3 more months to live. We cannot cure you. Nothing in the world can cure you. Now, my point is, write down in the chat. There will be many things that you will want to do in the last 3 months. Write down only one thing that you will do in the last 3 months of your life. Can you write that down in the chat, please? Could you please write what are some things? Okay, Fina says, be happy and enjoy life. Good. Sarina says, be happy with my life and people around me. Okay, good. But what if all the people around you are all not so positive people? Live like there is no tomorrow. Okay, Karen, good. You go for bungee jump and so on, I know. Make the most of what you have for the time. Okay, good. Spend quality time with family. Well done, Jeremy. Very good thing to do. Take a solo trip around the world. Brilliant. Wingsuit flying. Very good. Put our thoughts in writing, Victor Fu. Very good. Spend quality time with my closest ones. Very good. Nazrin says, if they're negative, we remove ourselves from the circle for a while. That's brilliant. Move away from negative people. Why do you want to bring negativity into your lives? Okay, good. I see that all of you have put. Now, let me go back to what you have put here and let me just go through some of them. Yeah. Okay, it says here, let's see, it's Fina. Yes, be happy and enjoy life. Now, my question to all of you, and let's be very, very frank. You've got 3 more months to live. Do you think you can really enjoy life? Knowing you only got 3 more months to live? So Fina, don't wait until you've got 3 more months to live to be happy and enjoy life. Be happy and enjoy life from now on. See, I've just demonstrated, we all postpone happiness. And if you look at this, all of us postpone happiness in the sense that, let's see the next one. Karen says, live like there is no tomorrow. Karen, live like there is no tomorrow now. When you've got 3 more months to live, you'll be crying every day in your house and so on. People will come and see you. Everybody will be sad and so on. Somebody says, travel. Yes, good, travel. But can you imagine you travel with your family and you go to Paris and you look at the Eiffel Tower and you're crying and say, this is the last time I will see the Eiffel Tower. Now, the point I'm making, and I'm serious here, is, would you agree, we all want to postpone happiness? All these things that you are doing, that you want to, are really good things. My point is, why don't we do it now? Why do we want to postpone it until we've got 3 more months to live before we want to learn to be happy? It's sad, isn't it? Now, let me assure you, and I want to tell all of you here, if you get 3 months warning before you die, you're a very fortunate and lucky person. Many of us will never, ever get that warning. So my point is, do things that make you happy now. Do not postpone happiness. Be happy today. Now, let's go on. This is what you all said. And all these are good things. My point is, do it today. Don't wait. Because all these things make you happy. Be happy today. Don't be happy tomorrow or postpone happiness. I think that's the saddest thing to do. So I've just touched on some of these points, ladies and gentlemen, and I assure you, I'm sure I have made you start to think and reflect on certain things going on in your life. I'm not saying tomorrow you can suddenly be very happy, but ponder on it. And if you take some action on some of the things that I said, for example, the wolf story, for example. So if you have a philosophy that every day you want to do something to feed your good wolf story, then that in itself will make you a happier person. So let's quickly go to the summary. 2 principles of happiness. You are responsible for your happiness. And number 2, you have to take active action to be happy. Number 2, the 3 mental barriers to happiness. Number 1 is the not accepting reality. Number 2, buying things to be happy. And the relentless pursuit of success. how to be more happy. We talked about attitude. We talked about having good friends. We talked about spiritual activities, and we talked about having a more positive attitude. The wolf story, a good philosophy in life. And finally, we did the exercise. Don't postpone happiness. Be happy today. Don't wait till tomorrow, because we do not know what tomorrow will bring. So with that as a basis, I just want you all to read this as my final conclusion. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And if there are any questions, just put it on the chat, or you can unmute yourself and ask me that question. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Hira, for the session. It is really wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Susan. Okay, guys, I tell you what, because there's another session coming up soon, so thank you very much, and thank you for sacrificing your morning to come and hear me on this session. I assure you I appreciate it very much, and you have just made me happy. I hope I have, in a sense, added a little bit more happiness into your lives. Thank you very much. Bye. Norazila and Faisal, please stay put, because I want to get your addresses, please.
They're both in our group, so you can get them from there as well.
Okay, great, brilliant.
Who is mom's iPhone?
Friend of mine.
Well done, Hira. See you back in the group. Bye,
Thank
guys.
you, thank you so much.